microphone fiend, the 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 microphone fiend.
Yeah,
I bet. Hey, without further ado, let's. I'm already recording to check your levels and whatnot. So,
all right.
you see,
I was gonna ask you a question. Did you, by chance, think of a name for this show? Because I know we've been kind of talking about it, like, because I was thinking, like, I just had the name pop in my head, but it's all around the globe. But I don't know if you want to use it, because, like, we pretty much cover, like, everything within the world of wrestling.
Uh-huh.
But that name is kind of similar to Faster Than the World with Fritz and
Jake.
So I don't know if we want to use it or not.
Now, I mean,
just an idea I had.
I don't know if you listened to the last Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, but at the end, I don't know if I made it at the end or at the beginning of the actual broadcast where I was like, well, your last name is Newman, my last name is Day.
Yeah.
New Day.
Dude, let's do that.
Just Neudaye.
Yeah, let's do that.
New Day.
If you're serious about that, that's awesome. I like it.
Yeah, I was like, it hit me like I wasn't even thinking about it. I was just talking to Jake about it, and it just dawned on me. I was like, New Day.
That rules. Yeah, let's use that.
Feel the power. It's a new day. Oh, man. I mean, I don't know if there'd be some crazy copyright things, but I think it's worth a shot.
No, because it's spelled differently.
Yeah.
Because it would be spelled Neudaye.
Yeah.
So, and if we get sued, we get sued. Who cares?
The New Day podcast.
Yep.
Feel the power.
I love it.
All right. So, I'm actually going to keep that in the podcast. I'm going to keep that.
Okay.
So, like, because I was like, at first I was thinking maybe it should just be Peter Talks Wrestling with Nate, Nathan. But then I came up with that, and I was like, yeah, dude, that should. I was like, he's gonna hate it though.
Well, at first I didn't mind it because I literally thought it was gonna be like a one-time thing. But then we've been so like over the last couple months we've been recurring and doing it like every other week. So I figured, and I remember you mentioned it, like we kind of need. Or we kind of should come up with our own thing.
Yeah.
So. Well, that's perfect. I like it.
So, if you've been listening to this back and forth, and we're not live, by the way, just to let you know, Nate.
No, I know. I'm only live on Blog Talk, so.
Yeah, and I don't know when.
I hate them, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know if I would ever go to Blog Talk. I mean, I don't unless I came up with like a whole list, if all of a sudden, like, boom, 1,000 people are listening to me, or, like, even 500, 100, even 100, I would go live. But, nah, man, I mean, it's hard to get people to listen now. So, going live, I would only consider going live.
It's perfect for me because it's on Sundays, and it's, like, live after pay-per-views and all that stuff. So we pretty much recap, like, the entire week of wrestling.
Yeah, I would only consider doing G+, for the Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling. And you can, you do it. Doesn't it record on its? Yeah, it records. So
because you do it live, and then it will, if you go, because it used to be where you had like you can either do a 1 hour, a 2 hour, or now it's a 3 hour. If you go over 3 hours, like I did one that was 4.5 hours.
Jesus, of course you did.
So we were. And it wasn't Eyes on the Ring. It was one called Indie Power Rankings, and they're all under the Elite Podcast Network.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a bunch of us talking, and after 3 hours, now that's the new allotted time, they kick you into the archives, so you're allowed to still go. You're just not live any time after 3 hours.
Why the hell would you want to go 4 hours?
We didn't intend it. That's just the way it happened.
Yeah, we're not going 4 hours today. We're probably.
But it was literally like 10 o'clock. We started at like 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night and got done at like 2 in the morning on Wednesday.
Because I know you like to talk.
I do.
Yeah, you will go on forever.
See, I don't talk about wrestling with, like, I've got me and my best friend. We've known each other since we were 3 years old. Well, I was 3, he was 4. So, I mean, I got him into wrestling when we were in, like, middle school. So we go to wrestling shows, we talk about wrestling all the time. But, like, outside of him and, like, the shows that I do for you, or that we do, and the shows that I do for Eyes in the Ring, it's like, after that, I don't like talking about wrestling.
Yeah.
I used to love it. Now I can't stand it.
Yeah, and that's the thing about this podcast, is that I wanted to be able to discuss things that I can't necessarily discuss with Jake, because he's more like action, and I like to sort of like elaborate about how things operate versus what's happening in the ring and stuff, or what's happening from episode to episode. And plus, I want to indulge. I know I'm in a time limit, and it's good for Jake. It's good that Jake's around, because I could go on, but I've gotten better. But he has a tendency to rush. Yeah. He has a tendency to want to rush, and because I guess naturally through Faster Than the World, he's just used to kind of like just saying things and moving on to the next.
That makes sense.
If you listen to last episode, there was parts that I wanted to sort of get into but couldn't, because he was ready to move forward. And so that's where this comes in. And boys and girls, if you've gotten through the last, say, 5 minutes of us coming up with a new name and rambling about what we do via wrestling podcast thingies, you are now listening to episode 1. And I wonder how I'm going to name it, because I guess it needs to be a transition. You listen to episode 1 of The New Day, spelled N-E-U space D-A-Y-E podcast. The New Day podcast. Feel the power. It's a new day. Yes, it is.
It's a new day.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm gonna see if I can throw that on until we get caught with it.
We won't get caught with it.
And I would have the music that I already have for this, and just have that show up at first, and then have the music come in. But
if we get caught for it, I'm gonna be pissed.
Why?
Because it's an awesome title.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. The New Day.
If we have to change it.
The New Day. Well, no, we're good. I think as long as it's not like they got it patent.
Well, not with the spelling, because copyrights are weird. Like, with the spelling that we're using, I don't think it's an issue. So.
Well, I don't give a fuck. So,
we'll find out, I guess.
Oh yeah, we will. We can only. It's only illegal till you get caught. So.
Yep.
So, yes, you listen to episode 1 of the newly named New Day podcast. And I'm Peter from Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling. Also from Peter Talks SmackDown. Peter's Raw Recap. And Peter's Reactions. I'm going to start doing reaction videos from whenever there's a special event. They're not pay-per-views anymore, so I call it special.
No, they're not.
And you are?
I am Nathan from Eyes on the Ring, and also I I periodically guest host, I'm a periodic guest on Wrestling Heads Radio, which is another podcast through the Elite Podcast Network.
How hard is it to get on the Elite?
You would have to talk to. There's a guy by the name of Matthew Grant. He's the one who created it. What you would have to do, and I already talked to him about it, but he would have to listen to your show and then screen it and see if he likes it, and then he would basically give you an approval.
Sweet.
But we've got we've got 8 shows, I think, right now.
Oh wow.
6 of which are live, and 2 of them are canned.
Okay. Because that would
Meaning they're
provide
pre-recorded.
canned.
Yeah, you don't because Four Corners Radio. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they recently joined the Elite Podcast Network, and they are not live because they hate Blog Talk Radio, so they will not do it.
Yeah, and I don't have the equipment to be able to pull off something. But nevertheless, we'll talk more about that later. Let's start off with this. And this happened maybe yesterday or 2 days ago. A fellow, and this is when I sent you the text last night, I was looking forward to hearing your insight, and because a lot of people listening probably don't know who Vern Gagne is. And I've heard his name thrown around, but I've never really invested into looking into who he is. So over the past couple of podcasts, I've learned a lot about him. The good stuff, what AWA was, the bad stuff with his dementia and him assisting into someone's death. But nevertheless, man, since he's from Minneapolis, he's from your neck of the woods. You're like, I would consider you. Would you consider yourself a wrestling historian as well?
Pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't consider myself that, but anybody who's talked to me and has heard me talk about wrestling would probably say that I am.
Yeah, I mean, with music, if you try to talk music with me, I'll go into it, and I'll be like, yeah, because I'm a music historian. I got no PhD or anything, but I've read my share of books. I got my share of vinyl. I've listened to my share of vinyl, and I'm not so critical about it. So I appreciate being able to go back and forth with the information, and probably where you are with your wrestling knowledge. But for the people who within say 3 minutes, you take the floor and explain Vern Gagne, the fact that he's from Minnesota, he's a bit of a legend where you are in the world of wrestling. I'd imagine just in general, but go into the significance of what he's done within the wrestling world, his significance to Minnesota, and the contributions that we to this day benefit from as wrestling fans. Say within 3 minutes. You take the floor.
Well, first of all, it's Vern Gagne.
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 Gagne West?
No. But he is the founder of the AWA, the American Wrestling Association, out of Minnesota. And if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't get guys like Hulk Hogan, like Bob Backlund. There's a number of guys that WWE eventually got their hands on.
Mean Gene, Ric Flair.
Yeah, were born and bred in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Was Macho Man part of that?
No.
Okay.
He was not. So basically, had it not been for AWA, there would have been WWE wouldn't be WWE, because without Hulk Hogan, you wouldn't get the boom period, and basically Hogan and Vince getting together and changing the landscape of the wrestling business overnight, because that's pretty much what they did. And had it not been for the AWA, that would have never have been possible to do. And then you had guys, Vern Gagne, Baron von Raschke, Jesse the Body Ventura, who is the former governor of Minnesota, who came from there, wrestled most of his career there, then went to WWE and had to retire prematurely. The Legion of Doom came out of there, which not too many people know. And then the Crusher is another big name. He's one of my dad's all-time favorites.
Where the Bushwhackers from?
They are from a southern promotion. I can't remember where they're from exactly.
But didn't they make it up to the AWA at some point?
I don't believe they did.
Okay. I think I've heard
they actually are from, now that I think about it, they're from the NWA.
Okay.
And they did a gimmick that was I don't know if you know anything about them outside of their Bushwhackers characters.
Oh yeah,
The sheep herders?
yeah, sheep herders.
Yeah, they were heels, and they were a lot more risque, and they were mean guys.
Yeah, but I only ask because for some reason I feel like there's a connection between those guys and Minnesota, the state of Minnesota.
There could be, but I don't know if there is.
So sorry for interrupting.
Per se.
Finish what you were saying.
So I was just basically saying, so a lot of guys came from the AWA that we now know. Ric Flair was there, of course. Jesse the Body Ventura. If you don't know the story behind Jesse the Body Ventura, he was big in the AWA. He got signed to WWE or WWF, and he had blood clots in his chest that were life-threatening, so he had to retire prematurely, which is why he became an announcer. Kurt Hennig was big there as well. He was a former AWA World Heavyweight Champion. It's the only World Heavyweight title that he ever held, which is a real travesty that he never got to the point where he could have been a world champion. He could have easily been one in WCW because by the time that David Arquette won the title, it meant nothing. Although I think he might have already been passed away by that time. And then another guy that was big there too is Nick Bockwinkel. He was a huge, big-time heel there. And that was before he joined with the NWA and did what he did there.
And Gagne was also a worker himself that became a promoter.
Yeah, he was a worker / promoter. And I have the Spectacular Legacy of the AWA DVD here, and he actually explains why the theory of, I don't know if you know this, but back in the day, promoters would always put themselves with the world, whatever their world title was, because they knew that they could trust themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And he went in depth on the DVD that's in front of me about that, because he said unless he trusts somebody, that he's basically not going to put them over and not going to lose because he doesn't want someone to skip town with his belt.
Dusty Rhodes, when he was a booker in Mid-Atlantic, right? He did basically the same thing.
Yeah, they all I think Vern was the one who adopted that philosophy, and then everybody pretty much followed it.
And I heard
the Jarretts did the same thing in Memphis.
Yeah, he tried to give it to his son.
Yeah, and from the stories I've heard and from what I know, again, I was a kid when this stuff was happening.
Yeah.
So the stuff that I know is stuff that my dad's told me and stuff that I've seen, basically from studying tapes and what have you. But his son, they tried to put the title on his son, and I think he was the champion once or twice, but he didn't take as well as Vern did.
Yeah, apparently.
So he was pretty much if you think about it. I can't think of a good example, but if think of a really good wrestler that may have had a son, okay, for instance, Kurt Hennig was a really good wrestler. His son is a really good wrestler, but he's not he'll never get to the heights where his dad was at.
Never.
And that's kind of where the vibe I got with Greg and Vern Gagne.
Okay.
Because Greg never got to the height of where Vern Gagne was, and even though they tried to push him as hard as they could, they never did. And it's the same could be said with Jerry Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett. Because I know Jeff Jarrett's a multi-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, a multi-time WCW Heavyweight Champion, but that guy never drew a dime.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He broke more guitars over people's heads, and they had to buy more guitars every single week just so he could break them, and he never drew a dime.
So check this out. Was it anything that he innovated outside of, say, the people that he booked and groomed? Did he introduce television? What was it? How was his houses? He always got a big draw. How many people on average? What was he having these his events? Was it anything that he innovated?
From what I know, his events were usually at the Metrodome and back when that wasn't a toilet, and around the area. but his houses, from what I know, were pretty good up until the tail end. But I'm not so sure if he really innovated that much. Versus basically just taking ideas that existed and making them his own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, copycat. Nothing wrong with copycat when you're trying to establish a business. I mean, if something's not broken, don't fix it. Yeah, I mean that's what Vince. I mean, you talk about what Vince did to him. I mean, he was able to go national and then to go global, but it was off his work. I guess people would debate the whole Hulk Hogan thing because apparently Vern didn't like Hulk Hogan's style, and he wouldn't give him a push.
I don't think it was that. I think what it was is they had a disagreement on whether or not or what disposition Hogan wanted to work face, and I think Vern wanted him to work heel. So, and I mean, Hogan was a heel in the AWA, but it didn't last for long. And so I think that was a part of the disagreement. And then Hogan eventually went to WWE and then was able to do his big face run, which he eventually, we all know what happened there. So.
Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit under the weather, too, so I apologize for the coughing, Nate.
I've had, a cold that's lasted, 3 months, so don't apologize.
No one got time for that. I took some Alka-Seltzer last night, man. I took one yesterday. I didn't take anything today because I feel like that's enough medication my body needs to really take full, kick in. And
I took 2 Excedrin PMs and downed a thing of NyQuil last night when I got home and passed the F out.
Damn, that sounds like a party. But
yeah.
Before we go into Extreme Rules and say what's happening with the WWE, I also want to bring up a bit of news because this is in my avenue. I like to think it's in my avenue because I'm one of the biggest Smashing Pumpkin fans you ever meet. I mean, I was introduced to the Smashing Pumpkins, I would say around 1997. That was during 96, 97 during the double disc period. What the fuck is the name of that? Why am I drawing a blank?
I don't know. You're talking to the wrong person.
Oh yeah, Infinite Sadness double disc.
I listen to music that's older than I am. So.
Yeah, I mean me too. But being a black dude, I wasn't really given a lot of access to anything else outside of say what either my pops was listening to, which was like old school soul and funk.
Sure.
And the hip hop that I grew up on the 80s into the 90s, and R&B and all that shit. So when I first started listening to rock, the first thing that caught my attention was Beck, Where It's At, and and then other things. It was like the Buzz Clip era, Butthole Surfers, Not a Surf. I mean, you name it. And the band that stood out the most, 2 bands stood out the most: the Foo Fighters and the Smashing Pumpkins. And it was like the first time I'd ever listened to music that had, because you hear Love, you hear this and hear that, but Billy Corgan, how he arranged the music and how he played the music versus the lyrical style that he had, it was the first time that I'd ever been introduced to a level of passion in music. And it just, I couldn't get enough of it. And so you name the album, whether it's from Gish to Siamese Dream to Infinite Sadness, Adore. After Adore, I kind of fell off. Machina came out. I kind of fell off. I started listening to more old. Went back to listen to Funk and Soul and a whole host of other things like Sunny Day Real Estate, blah 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 blah. Stereolab, which is my favorite band. But I found out later that he was a wrestling fan. I would say when I got back into it, say around 80. Sorry, I apologize. Around 2008, when I got back into watching wrestling, within wrestling trivia, I found out that Billy Corgan actually was a wrestling fan, and then I found out that he also ran his own his own company called Resistance.
His company sucks.
I mean, I looked at it on Wiki, and I looked at the cast that he has. Now,
you say Wiki or Winky?
I said Wiki.
Okay, it sounded like you said Winky, so I just wanted to double check.
Look here, Mr. Phonetics. Chill. Chill the fuck out.
I work with audio, and video, so I'm
Yeah, all right. I need to get more into the microphone. But what was I saying? Oh, before you rudely interrupted. Oh yeah, so you look over like the people that he had on his roster. They weren't that. I mean, no one had ever heard. They were just probably 2-bit Cam and Eggers. But at a person at his it's Billy fucking Corgan. He sold over like 60 million, if not 60 million albums, right? He's Billy Corgan. And I'd imagine he wanted to sort of get into the wrestling business. And use his company as a stepping stone to possibly get somewhere else. And he's landed.
Prior to Resistance Pro, he was kind of in the wrestling business, but not too many people know about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are the odds? And the guy, he seems like a real mark for it. I mean, like that's kind of, it blows me away. And now he's become the senior talent relations
senior vice president of talent relations, I think.
Yeah, like he's basically he's people power.
Yeah.
Cause who's that guy? Who's that for the WWE right now? Is it Michael P.S. Hayes? Or is it Dusty
No,
Rhodes?
it's her name's Jane something.
Oh, it's the chick.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Part of Stephanie's regime.
Yeah. I can't remember her last name, but her first name is Jane.
Uh-huh.
I want to say it's like McCormick, but that doesn't sound right to me.
Okay. Because I remember there being something that went down where one of them had to leave. I don't know.
John Laurinaitis is still there. He's just not the executive vice president of talent relations now.
I love Big Johnny.
Yeah, exactly.
Was awesome. So he's with TNA starting yesterday or 2 days ago. And my question to you is, how do you feel about this? Are you a fan of the Smashing Pumpkins? And will you check out TNA because of it?
I am, like I said, I listen to music that's older than I am. So, I mean, I've listened to the Smashing Pumpkins.
You're only like 15,
okay.
Dude.
Huh?
You're only like 15. It couldn't be that.
No, no, I'm 29. Shut up.
Yeah, whatever.
But now you're interrupting me. Now I can't remember what I'm saying. Buddy of mine was into Smashing Pumpkins, so that's the only time I really listened to them. I didn't go out of my way to listen to them. From what I've heard, they were pretty good. But a music guy transitioning to wrestling has always been weird to me. I don't know if you've seen the Rise and Fall of ECW and the Forever Hardcore DVD that TNA put out about for ECW, right?
No.
Okay, well, there's a third one that not too many people know about called Barbed Wire City, and Billy Corgan is actually featured in that, and because he was big into ECW.
Wow.
And at the time where ECW was closing, Paul Heyman asked Billy Corgan to give him $1 million to keep the company afloat.
And he knew, so he was like, hell no.
Yeah. He's like, what would you say about becoming part owner and owning 10% of the company?
He goes, I don't trust you.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what it was, and that's why ECW folded. So, I mean, he's got experience in the wrestling business, but I don't know, like, what exactly they're going to have him do within TNA.
He's gonna book. He's gonna write.
Well, booking the concept of a booker is no longer a thing anymore.
Okay, so he's gonna do,
because they have all these writers. So he's gonna be basically writing
creative.
Or the head writer for TNA.
Okay, yeah.
Which I don't know. From what I've heard and seen from Resistance Pro, none of that stuff has been any good. And if his ideas there weren't good and they don't go through a filter, and I'm sorry, Dixie Carter is not a filter because she's a moron. She's a filter because she has nothing in her head. But other than that, like, he's basically, like, it's going to be like a Vince Russo kind of thing. Not as bad, but it's not going to be good. Like, and the reason I say why it's going to be a Vince Russo thing is because when Vince Russo was in WWE or WWF at the time, he would think of like 100 ideas and only like 2 of them would get through because Vince McMahon was hearing them all. When him and Ed Ferrara packed up and went to WCW, every single idea that Vince Russo had ever had in his stupid brain translated on screen because he didn't have a filter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, will you check it out?
No, I will not, because Destination America, well, I get it, but I just don't care.
Okay.
They have a terrible time slot. They're on Friday nights.
I mean, you can catch it on the upload.
But the way I see it, I wasn't even watching it when it moved to Wednesday on Spike. Why watch a company that's dying?
I don't think it's dying. I think they're on a whole other level of success now. Like, for what they give to Destination America, it's double, triple, quadruple whatever programming they already have.
Well, that's because Destination America doesn't have any programming that's worth watching.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Destination America is what it is. Now, I mean, I'm not trying to call you out. I feel like you're not factoring in the okay, so it's not 1 million or 2 million, 3 million that they're bringing in. They're bringing in what, 750,000, but comparison to what the expectation rate for Destination America, it's as if that 700,000 is like 5 million to them.
And I still don't care though. They could be on the greatest network in the world they probably, even with the guys that they've lost, they probably have the most talented wrestling roster in wrestling today, but they're booked like shit.
Okay, so you're not going to watch it. You're not a Smashing Pumpkins fan, and
I never said I wasn't a Smashing Pumpkins fan. I said I never got into them in order to be a fan. So I never gave them an equal a fair chance.
They're great,
but it's huh?
I said their stuff is great.
From what I've heard, it's good. But
Melancholy and Infinite Sadness,
not a band that I go out of my way to hear.
Yeah, let someone play some of that shit on a jukebox somewhere, and I'm all of a sudden I'm 17, 18 again. I mark out the fucking Billy Corgan. So, and
I didn't grow up with that stuff.
God, well, I didn't either. I mean, I wouldn't consider
the only bands I listened to from my era were Nirvana and Pearl Jam. That was it.
Spin the black. I like Pearl Jam. Sometimes it's a little too much. But the what was that one album? Vitalogy. Sorry, that was the album that I listened to the most out of more than 10, more than anything. And when it comes to the Temple of the Dog, I only know that one song. I'm going hungry. I'm going hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all I know.
That's not one of their best songs.
So you're not a smash. Check it out, dude. Just start from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Start with Gish, go to Siamese Dream, and then check out fucking Melancholy and Infinite Sadness. I mean, it's a lot of growth. You can see it gets a little cleaner, but not clean in a bad way. It's pretty awesome. It's clean as that dog. You know, they have a song called Minneapolis that you absolutely love.
No. Just because a song is named after my hometown doesn't mean that I'm going to love whatever song it is.
You should. I can make a song about Minneapolis right now, and you're going to
fucking love it.
Suck. You're going to fucking love it. You're going to fucking love it. You're going to retweet it, and you're going to play it as your new opening on your Eyes on the Ring podcast, and you're going to be like, yeah, that's my boy. All right. Enough of that crap. So
yeah,
and you are actually cautious about Billy Corgan's booking. Creative ideas. Okay, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out. I guess maybe next week when he's.
Well, Well, when you check it out, let me know what you think, because I'm still not going to watch it.
It's canned shows, right? For now.
Yes.
How far?
They tape like 4 months in advance.
So we wouldn't even get the Billy Corgan stuff until, say, September?
Yeah, it's like Kurt Angle, like his title win aired like maybe 3 weeks ago from what I hear. But he was the champion for like 3 months before that even aired.
Wow.
Yeah, but they couldn't acknowledge that he was the world champion or update their website because it hadn't aired yet.
Okay.
That's why I don't understand the philosophy of this company and what they're trying to do. And like, I'll tell you this. When TNA first started, they had Wednesday night pay-per-views every single week. I watched every single one of them, okay? Because at the time, WCW closed, and I was big into finding something that wasn't WWE, so I gave them a chance. And once... I mean, they were good from like 2002 when they started to like 2005. 2006 was kind of meh. 2007 to 2009 was a pretty good period. But then once January 4th, 2010 rolled around, Hulk Hogan came in along with Eric Bischoff, and they killed that company, and that company has never been able to recover.
Yeah.
So, and that's two companies that Hulk Hogan's killed now. Because, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, TNA is dead. They have been since Hogan left, or since he got there. But the Hogan era was terrible, and it's ruined it. And I don't have any interest in going back and watching it. And, like, my favorite guys that I would want to watch in TNA are in Ring of Honor.
So what about...
So why would I even bother?
So do you give two shits about the whole Taz thing going on?
What about the whole Taz thing? Oh, you mean that he basically walked out?
Yeah, well, like, we didn't get to talk about it the last time we talked.
I don't know the whole story, to be honest. So, I don't know if it's a pay dispute or if he had some disagreements with the person that he was doing commentary with, which I believe is Josh Matthews at this point. So I really don't know.
Do you even give a fuck?
I kind of don't.
Okay, so let's move on. You got to watch.
I mean, if you want to talk about it,
no. I'm good.
You know more about it than I do.
No, I don't. I don't, because I don't care. I'm just trying to gauge to see if there was some sort of interest. Maybe I could learn something. But
okay.
So whatever.
No, ever since Dixie Carter basically became an on-screen character too, that was another thing that basically just killed it.
Okay, so let's move on to the world of WWE.
I was going to mention too. I meant to do this off air, but I was actually at a Ring of Honor show this last weekend, and I believe it was Saturday, and I believe some of those matches are going to air on TV. So keep a lookout for that. And then I have a review on eyesonthering.com. So you can go to that and just check that out. So, but I just wanted to mention that quick, and then now we can go.
That's cool. I mean, because I was after we talk about WWE, I was meaning that we probably do like a run shot on ROH and what's happening in the developments.
Okay,
I imagine our listeners. I imagine whoever listening to this is interested in knowing what you've experienced and what you're writing about. So you got to watch. You watched Extreme Rules, and then you watched Raw. Now we're not going to do a review. I just want to sort of pick out certain topics of what's happening in the WWE that I am essentially not happy about. Because I'm a very upbeat guy when it comes to the WWE. You know how some people complain and bitch and moan. I'm someone who's like, well, I want to continue to watch it, and I don't feel like I'm being held.
I'll continue to watch it regardless. Like, because I'm a wrestling fan.
Yeah, but
what else am I going to do on a Monday night?
But I don't want to. But I don't want this idea that I feel held hostage by it. That I just kind of have to deal with what they give me. It's not like they're loading my plate with garbage. They're not. There's moments where, and a lot of moments where I listen to other podcasts or other reviews, and they're shitting on things, and I'm just like, well, I thought it was pretty cool, I thought that was pretty cool, but it's not because I'm like fucking Stockholm syndrome and shit over here.
Yeah.
I
don't know if you've heard, there's a guy by the name of Aubrey Sitterson. He does a podcast called Straight Shoot.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
He is one of the most positive people I've ever heard talk about WWE.
Yeah, I mean,
even when stuff is bad, he can still find something good about it.
Because I feel like once you start complaining, and this is across the board, I think this is like a character trait that could result. Maybe it's Freudian, I don't care. To where if you just have a negative look on things, and then you have people around you just being negative about it, that's just going to always be your character. It's never going to be a point where you're going to be impressed by anything, because you're so used to, and you have the crutch of a bunch of downers just like you, to where you watch the product, but you watch it with a very, how will you impress? Your arms are crossed, and you're basically waiting to be impressed rather than to sit, watch, and enjoy it as a piece of entertainment.
Sure.
But when it boils down to what we got, this Extreme Rules, and then the Raw, and then the King of the Ring, and then how they booked that to go into the network, man, it's a load of this was a load of garbage. And I'm ashamed. If you listen to Peter, whoever's listening, go back and listen to Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling. I mean, it's not my proudest moment, because everything was. I just nitpicked at everything. It fucking sucks. But before I go into mine, how did you see those 2 days? And anything that bothered you?
Which 2 days?
Well, the pay-per-view and then the Monday after.
To be honest, the pay-per-view wasn't really that great. I mean, I had low expectations going into it, but my match of the night wasn't what I thought my match of the night was going to be.
Oh, Roman Reigns, huh? Roman Reigns, Big Show.
Yeah, Roman Reigns and Big Show, they killed it.
But
they had a great match.
Oh, sorry.
But I never want to see another match of them. There's again, but we're going to see at least more, because they're still on house shows as of June. So, yeah.
My only thing, let's start just quickly. Were you impressed with what would you would have done different with the Ambrose Harper Chicago street fight?
I would have made it be one continuous match.
Well, I had no qualms with them leaving. I just wish they would have actually followed them out, at least to 2 or 3 locations.
I remember you saying that on Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling.
Yeah, they dropped the ball.
Hearing that. And even if you remember, because when they did this, it reminded me of WrestleMania 12 and Piper Goldust, where they they didn't go on a chase like they want you to believe, but they piped in footage from the O.J. Simpson trial.
Oh, no.
And used that. Yeah. Making you think that it was... Because what happened was Goldust got in a gold car, and then Piper chased him down the highway in a white Bronco. Okay? And they wanted us to believe that the footage that they were showing us throughout the night was original from Piper and Goldust, but it was actually footage from the O.J. Simpson case itself, or chase itself.
Well, you would give them credit on the fact that, yes, even though it was canned, stolen material, at least they gave you the impression that they were following them outside the ring. And you didn't get this at all with this match.
Yeah.
And I thought
they came back in the arena and then finished the match.
Yeah, which
so,
I was
had they done something to where they were following them outside of the streets of Chicago, meaning Harper and Ambrose, it would have actually really worked. But because they didn't do that, it was just whatever, because they made us forget about it.
The only problem that they could have run across in terms of having to do something like that, and I'd imagine they probably did have something planned. But if you bring in the Baltimore riots, I imagine everyone's on edge. Now,
speaking of Baltimore,
I
just want to mention this quick.
Wait. And I think, and I think this is going to play into the New Day as well. But even if there's like a camera there, like, you know, you see a full-on production team, and you all of a sudden in the middle of that production team, like cameras and boomsticks, someone seeing someone fighting outside, it would just raise a little level of attention that's not needed. And I feel like that,
unless they got clearance from the whole city, but still that doesn't really work because not everybody's going to cooperate.
Yeah, exactly. And I imagine that was why they didn't do it.
That could be. Plus, Chicago's not necessarily a good town to be doing that stuff.
Yeah, especially at that time of night as well.
I just want to mention this quick. You mentioned Baltimore.
Yeah, your homies are from Baltimore, right?
You mean the Eyes on the Ring?
Yeah.
One's from Baltimore. The other one, and then the others are in North Carolina, South Carolina.
Okay.
So, but I was just going to mention that the next pay-per-view, which I believe is Payback, is supposed to take place in Baltimore.
Yeah. But I think everything will be cleared up by then.
I hope so.
Yeah, I remember doing like, God damn, talk about timing.
And I think you mentioned that on Peter and Jake, because I think I remember hearing it from somebody, and it might have been you.
I don't think I brought it up. I think it was from maybe someone else. But one of the things, and then we'll move on to how I feel about from Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling. I mentioned when I was listening to Wade Keller and Stone Cold, and Wade Keller came up with this idea, and I didn't even think about this. It's like, what if they would have came back in another car?
Yeah, I remember you saying that, and it doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense because it's like it's out of control, you know. I just thought when he said it, I was like, oh, that would have been super interesting if they would have came back, because they came back and Ambrose was driving rather than Luke Harper. So I just thought it was funny. What else? What else stood out? The tag team championship.
The New Day versus Cesaro and Kid. That was the match of the night. Easily.
Again, and just like with Naomi, and we can actually bunch these two, because it's one thing for us to go into the match. I don't want to go into the match. I want to go into the conversation of how it was booked and what's happening. Now, with the New Day, they're reluctantly turning into heels, right? And it's so fun.
That's what they were supposed to be from the beginning, though.
I thought they would just...
If you remember the original concept where Xavier Woods was coming out dressed like... They only did it for 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah, I was going to get there. Okay. I was going to get there. And I was like, talk about timing. Because when they were coming out, the whole, like, we don't wait for anything, we take it, that's when the whole... shit happened in St. Louis. And... Was it St. Louis? Or was it... Yeah, it was St. Louis or Trayvon.
I don't remember what... I remember when those two things happened, but I don't know if they lined up together.
I think it was the whole St. Louis thing.
But I don't know if it was St. Louis where that happened. I can't remember.
Well, around there, like when they were having the protests and the riots around that area, outside of St. Louis. And so they reneged on it, and basically...
Is that why they did that?
Yes,
or did they do that just... Okay.
Yeah, when those riots went out and they were going to all of a sudden have this heel faction of brothers, they were like... It's funny, too, because...
Okay, that makes a lot more sense to me, because I've always been a proponent of, had they gone with the original idea, that would have that it would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
But I can see why they're not going with the original idea now that you say that.
Because
this is the first time I've heard anybody say this.
Oh, wow. I thought you listened to enough stuff to at least hear that in conversation.
I do, but I've never heard anybody actually come out and say that as to why they actually didn't go forward with the New Day with their original concept.
Yeah. And so they come out as these like over-the-top baby faces to promote like African Americans and positivity. It got flipped on its head because it was a lame gimmick. Now, not saying because they were positive, but it was just a little too jumping the shark with it, you know. And
well, from what it was to what it became, it was
what it has become is actually magical. Like,
well, yeah, because they've kind of like when they first started, they were like very dark. I mean, we know that. We know what they were doing. Then they came out and they were all happy-go-lucky, and now they're not back to where they were originally.
They're still happy.
Headed towards that way.
They're still happy, but I feel like there's a part of them that it's like it's almost like breaking kayfabe where they're being forced to be these happy guys. I sense this. Yeah. I sense this thing. It's like they're breaking the fourth wall a little bit here, where it's like, yeah, we're only doing this because we're being told to do this. And but there's moments where there's a glitch and they want to sort of break it. And
my favorite part, speaking of that, I don't know if you noticed this, but it was the tag match from Extreme Rules. It was Big E and Kofi Kingston in the match. And if you notice, Xavier Woods is on the outside, and you can kind of tell that he's getting mad. Because he turns around and he basically like starts yelling at people to start cheering them.
Yeah, and I think there was even one
hilarious.
There was even one part where he's like, "What did we do?"
Yeah,
like, what did we do? So they're reluctantly becoming these things, and you can see there was a backstage commentary where he had this look on his face, like he was just pissed off. And then when they were about to go to the ring, he kind of snaps out, kind of like, you know, like just ham bones it up and like walks out to the ring. But not to go on and on about that, it's the discrepancy of who's the face and who's the heel. Now, one of the things, and this is one of the difficulties of talking to Jake because he's such a mark for Tyson Kidd and Cesaro. I am as well, but he's more of, again, the action than, say, the mechanism. And I find it weird, and I was trying to explain to him that the New Day did nothing to Kidd and Cesaro for them to be angry. Nothing at all. For them to actually be all of a sudden become the baby faces, like they had something against them. And if you've listened to Peter and Jake Talk Wrestling, I got it wrong. There was no handful of tights. It was a clean fucking Trouble in Paradise, and Cesaro took the pin. Is that what happened? Or was that?
Yep.
Okay.
No, that's exactly what happened.
Because I don't want to get it mixed up with a singles between Cesaro and Kofi. Because I'm confused. I need to go back and check and watch it again. But nevertheless,
there was one match, either way you cut it, where I think Kofi beats Cesaro
in a 1-on-1
holding the tights.
That was
it was the one-on-one match.
No, that was a. Oh, okay. But nevertheless,
it wasn't in the tag match.
But the psychology of who's the heels and who's the faces and why Cesaro and Kidd are all of a sudden the faces in this. Like, they've been conniving ever since they showed up as a tag team. Conniving as fuck. And now you take these brothers and just because they held down, they've only done one thing, so two things. There was one part where Kofi Kingston, I think, kicked one of the Ascension guys or something like that, and Xavier Woods was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool, fun, yeah." And then Xavier Woods holding the legs of Sin Cara, which basically said, "Okay, now we're heels. Now they're heels, and they're going to go up against a heel tag team in Kidd and Cesaro." But all of a sudden, Kidd and Cesaro are the faces. I think Cesaro as a face, he's mad over. He's never really as over as a heel as he is as a face, especially with his display of strength. You know, just like watching Neville be heel. It's weird because his his athletic ability, it just screams babyface. How does it make sense to you? And I don't think it's a clean. I don't think it's a clean turn for either one of those. I mean, so much for the New Day, yes, but I don't think it's as clean as a turn for Kid and Cesaro as it should be.
I didn't see it as a turn for Kid and Cesaro at all. I just thought they were trying to do something more with the New Day, but I didn't necessarily think that because the New Day turned heel or whatever that Kid and Cesaro were turning face.
And it's the same with...
And, like, I remember reading an article a while ago that Vince he doesn't want heels and faces anymore.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it depends, like, who you're talking to as to if you're getting heels and if they think there's heels and faces.
But it's...
Because to me, I would like to think there's still heels and faces, but according to that article, Vince doesn't want them, so... There's all these shades of gray, especially in like the Divas division.
Exactly, and that's how I feel. What's happening with Ken Cesaro, the Marksman, and New Day is the same thing that's happening with the Bellas and Naomi. Now, you always hit. I feel like in terms of booking the Diva heels, they have a ceiling of how this person should be. And it seems like the Sasha Banks, because Sasha Banks isn't the first. There's been other divas that taken on this sort of Hollywood role, this whole Hollywood sassy sort of thing. And now Naomi is that. And everyone's like, hey, Sasha Banks calls, she wants her gimmick back. But, like, I think that's just a problem with booking divas as heels in the first place.
Can you still hear me, by the way?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, because I put my headphones in,
okay.
So I just want to make sure that I'm still coming through. But, yeah, I don't, like, the whole Naomi thing, I'm not sure if that's really going to work, so.
I like the aggressiveness, and I love Naomi, and I love the New Day. I think the New Day, in terms of wrestling ability, that's why that match was so great. The strong arm versus the technical flyer thing, it's like it works, and we say different to say what Jay and Jimmy do, which are basically the same. There's no discrepancy between the talents. I mean, obviously Jimmy is the better talent, but like they both kind of do the same shit. They both they don't complement each other in terms of.
See, and I look at them basically as the same person.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not, but like. And that's the first I've ever heard anybody say, like, oh, Jimmy's better than Jay, and what have you, because to me, there's no distinction between who's who.
Okay, Jimmy...
And, like,
Jimmy...
I know the commentators keep saying, oh, the way you tell them apart is this or that. It's like, I can never tell them apart.
Well, so. It's their role in the ring that I can tell, because normally Jay is the one catching the beat down until the hot tag.
Okay.
Every single time.
The only twins I can tell apart are the Bellas, and for two reasons.
Yeah, for two, yeah. And but that's how you distinguish the two. One is getting beat up, and the other one gets the hot tag. Almost every match. So that's how you distinguish them. But say you take you can distinguish Kid and Cesaro because Cesaro is the strong man, right?
Well, and they're not twins.
Well, I mean, outside that, it's like they complement each other. They have two distinct styles that you can get one or the other out of. The same with the New Day with Kofi and Big E, or say if they want to get Xavier Wood involved. It was pretty awesome to see him wearing the belt. That was awesome. But
see, and I like what you were saying about Kid and Cesaro. I like them, but I also I wish they would have kept Cesaro and Swagger together.
Of course,
because I like them way better than Kid and Cesaro. I mean, I like Cesaro a lot. He's one of my favorite guys in the company. And Kid is, I know you don't like him, but I
like Kid.
think he's good. So, but yeah, as far as an actual tag team, I liked Jack Swagger and Cesaro better because they did their own stuff. If you notice the stuff that Kid and Cesaro do, it's basically Kings of Wrestling.
Uh-huh.
If you know who the Kings of Wrestling are.
Yeah,
Chris Hero and
yeah, like
Cesaro.
Tyson Kidd is Hero basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
But but say it's the same booking with, and then like the technical shit, the fact that one of the clear things that you know who's the heel is the wet side of the ring they're on, and the New Day they're not on the hard cam, their backs are to the hard cam, and so you could say, oh yeah, Vince, not say you, but Vince can say, yeah, I don't want the heel or the face, but like there's still fundamentals to how who's positioned where on the apron. So obviously, it's just like
that's a good observation because I've literally like during tag matches. I mean, I can see how you could say that, but I never stop and think about it.
Yeah, but that's just a clear thing for me. Just like when the Miz and Mizdow were heels going up against like the El Torito, what is it? Los Matadores. And Los Matadores are the faces, but whenever they would go up against Miz and Mizdow, and they were, Miz is the heel, and they're the heel. They were facing the heart cam. So I was just like, this is weird. But to get to Naomi and the Bellas, it's the same thing, where it's like the Bellas have no reason to be upset with Naomi. Like she's I mean, until that match, she had done nothing to the Bellas, and the Bellas had done nothing different to get the babyface pops. They're both conniving, and Brie interference, the shit they did with Paige, and just so on and so forth. It's not like I go, hey, okay, I can see them being good girls now, like faces, but no, not at all. And even how Naomi lost the match was a heel tactic by Brie kicking her in the face and getting the babyface reaction. And it floors me. Now
it was all on Naomi to be able to tell that story, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I go, well, I still just looking at it face value. I go, why are they cheering those? Whatever.
Well, and do you
think? Because I don't want to take it there, but like, do you think it's just one of those weird coincidences that it's easier to boo the black person in the ring?
I know I
it's
wouldn't necessarily take it that way, but I don't know.
Because we got two non-whites who have turned babyface because they're going against.
Yeah, not to the fans per se, but maybe to the brains behind like WWE, and we know one of those brains is extremely racist.
But
so maybe that's their line of thinking.
But how do you explain Brie versus Naomi on Raw? Was it Raw? 2 weeks ago. How do you explain?
Yeah.
It? And like Brie's, I mean, they're going nuts for Brie, and they're booing the living shit out of Naomi. And Naomi's done nothing but claim her place as the number one contender for the belt. Like,
well, not really, because she attacked Paige before that.
I know, but like,
and that's when she basically turned heel.
But even before then, it wasn't like she didn't. Like, what she's saying is like, I've beaten Brie. How many Bellas do I have to beat and pin? And
well, there's only two of them.
And I know, right? And I just go, fuck you,
Thank
Paige.
God.
You don't deserve this shot. I do. I've worked my ass off, other than say what Oksana tried to take my fucking eye out.
Yep.
To get this, and now I lose my opportunity to like a fucking rogue, over the top battle royal. Fuck that. Yeah. That's means for anyone to get upset. And if anything, you take the Stone Cold, philosophy. And people got behind him for doing the same shit. Like, dude, fuck this. I'm not standing in line anymore. Why doesn't that work? It's just one of those things. It's just a thought. And whoever's listening, I'm not race baiting. It's just
No, I know you're not.
it's
I'm
just
white, so I know
It's just
you're
a
not.
thought that both at the same time transitioned in the same way, and I just find it really hard to grasp.
When I had said this, actually, I don't think I said this actually on the record, so I might be doing this for the first time now. But I remember Wrestling Heads Radio, which is on the Elite Podcast Network on Mondays. I had tweeted them when they were talking about Naomi and the heel turn, and I told them, I said, if Naomi turning heel does not lead to her being the Divas champion down the line, it's for nothing. And I mean, I understand whatever Bella it was. I can't remember because they both don't matter.
Brie.
But whatever Bella it was that beat Naomi and retained the title.
Nikki.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. Whatever. Like I said, they both don't matter to me. But Brie is more annoying than Nikki.
But they're both babes, and they got a ridiculous fan base. Ridiculous.
Yeah,
they're
I can't
out of
figure that out.
control. The Bella Twins fans.
Yeah.
Even as heels.
Yeah, but no, if this doesn't like end up with Naomi winning the title at Money in the Bank, or even like if they pushed out to SummerSlam, it's not going to matter.
I know.
She should have been the champion at least a year and a half ago. And I know she was supposed to get a shot at AJ Lee at WrestleMania 30, and that didn't happen because of Oksana, if I remember right.
It was exactly right.
Yeah, so, and it almost seems like they're punishing Naomi for that, even though she had nothing to do with it.
I don't think it was a punishment as much of a protection, because the over the bone is a very sensitive thing, and they want to keep her around for a while. I think she's at a point where she's sort of revolutionizing like work rate in her own way for divas, because it's like she makes it look extremely easy. Right?
The only complaint I have with her is that she goes way too fast.
Well, how do you feel about Neville?
I think he's fine.
But he's faster than fucking Naomi.
But he's fast in a way where he's still able to control what he's doing. There's a difference.
Oh, so you're saying you feel like she's getting ahead of herself.
Naomi's fast in a way where she's good, and it seems like she's a step ahead of the Divas in a way, but it's almost like she's a step ahead of herself, and she's just thinking too far in advance.
Okay.
And just moving way too fast. I'd like especially as a heel now, I'd like her to slow her pace down, because you can't be a heel and have a fast pace offense like she has been.
I just hate
and
that.
she needs to get rid of her finisher too.
No, I think the rear view should lead to something else. Like the people's.
If she did that for like a setup, it's kind of like Wade Barrett. I hated the Wasteland when he did it as a finisher, but now when he does it to set up like the bullhammer,
yes,
I think it's fine.
Yeah, and I think.
But if she does the rear view and then does something else, that would be perfectly acceptable to me.
Well, depending on what they're gonna do with, Alicia Fox, I don't know. It's just I feel like when you got a black woman diva, and I don't know if you noticed too, subconsciously
they can only center around one of them.
Yeah, I know, and it's a shame because I love Alicia Fox. I think she's I think she's amazingly talented.
She's hot too.
Have you picked up on too much makeup? That's the only thing that fucking does it for me. I mean, it's caked on. But Booker T, both. I mean, he was happy as fuck at the New Day one, and he was happy as fuck. He's happy as fuck that Naomi has this new attitude. Now, again, the passing of the guard, say from Alicia Fox to Naomi, is to sort of adapt a Booker T style finisher. Because Alicia does the scissor kick.
Sure.
And I feel like Naomi should take on the bookend.
I don't know if they would do that. I mean, I would like it,
That would be so awesome.
but if she does that, they're not going to say that. Oh, I mean, the announcers will try to get the point across that was Booker T's finisher.
Yeah.
But like a casual fan that turns on WWE is going to see her do that and think of one person and one person only.
Yep.
The Rock.
The Rock. Yeah.
You knew where I was going with that.
Only if.
And I mean,
Because you know how. What was JBL's finisher?
The clothesline from hell.
Exactly. Whenever Harper hits it, or whenever Bray Wyatt hits it, he puts it the fuck over, right? Immediately,
Yeah.
Almost like, damn,
That's because JBL's a mark.
That's a clothesline, right? He could do the
Yeah.
same. Booker T could do the same thing. He could be like, "Yep, that's what you call a bookend."
I suppose they could make it work like that.
It could happen. But let's move on. Neville, he beat Wade Barrett in replace of Daniel Bryan. Oh, we need to get into that as well.
And we got moved in. It got moved into the pre-show.
Yes, it got moved to the
which
pre-show.
Makes no sense. I feel bad for Barrett.
Yeah,
because he's always the victim of bad circumstances.
And did you know? I found out today, listening to Cheap Heat, that because his body right now, he has the body of a god right now. Like, it's the most amazing thing. It's like, you see those soccer players, and you know when they lift their shirts, and it's like, fuck, abs of fucking steel.
Yeah.
Barrett's, it's like better. And you know why?
He's chiseled out of stone.
Do you know one of the things that attributes to that? The decision that he made? He quit drinking.
Oh, okay.
He quit drinking. He gave up alcohol. He's like, I want to take care of my body. I want my body to be amazing. And if I have to do this to move ahead, I'm going to do it. So his body is as chiseled.
Well, good for him.
Yeah. But, like, man, that's tough. That's a tough gig, especially when you're losing to Neville. I mean, and okay, he's the king of the ring, but to me, the king of the ring doesn't really mean anything outside of, say, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Like, okay, it's more of a bragging rights kind of a title than it is an actual title itself.
You know why the only reason they booked that, or one of the reasons I heard that they booked that Barrett Neville match? They wanted to make history and have it be like, because it was they were both guys from the UK.
Oh yeah.
So that's the one reason they did it, and it's the first time ever in history that two guys from the UK have faced each other on a pay-per-view.
Oh wow! Wait a minute. There was nothing with Lord Regal and someone?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, how about this? Listening to the podcast, the Steve Austin show with Wade Keller, they mentioned, like, one of the things Wade Keller brought up is, like, you know, one of the fundamentals of booking, if someone can't make it, that whoever's filling in for them has to win. Like, it's always booked that way. And Steve Austin, like, yep,
okay,
every time. It wouldn't have been any other way.
Why is that though? Did he go into that?
I think it's just, I don't think there was a definite answer. It was just one of those booking 101s.
Okay.
You know,
it's just something that they do.
Yeah,
okay.
It's just something you do. Anytime that someone can't make a match, like someone can't, well, they didn't do it with Naomi, which is weird.
What do you mean?
Well, it was Butterman Page.
Okay.
That's weird. You know what? They just canceled each other out then. That entire theory, because it's supposed to have been, they pulled, something's not right. We'll talk about this later.
Well, Wade Keller's an idiot, so doesn't surprise me that he's wrong.
Shut your mouth. He's a Hall of Famer, man.
He's an idiot.
We're gonna move on before the bookend on my speaker in here. But so yeah, Neville, you're okay with that? And poor Barrett, like, you on the same page?
I am, but
great for Neville.
Because I like Neville, it's great for him, but it sucks for Barrett because I'm pretty sure that Daniel Bryan, if he was cleared, he probably would have won.
Yeah.
Well, because he's the Intercontinental Champion. But it's just, why not put Barrett over a newer guy? I like both these guys, but Barrett just seems to always get the short end of the stick.
I know,
when it comes to this kind of stuff,
because he's a good win, and that's what Luke Harper is. Luke Harper.
I think they might be afraid to push him though, in a way.
Who?
Barrett.
Oh, because he's accident prone. He's injury prone.
Injury prone. It's kind of like Daniel Bryan.
And Dolph Ziggler.
If he comes back, and Dolph Ziggler. But if Daniel Bryan comes back and is able to come back, we might not be able to, or they might have him drop the title right away.
Yeah.
And like, as far as Daniel Bryan is concerned, well, actually, we're probably going to talk about that later. So I'll just say what I'm going to say until later.
Okay, so just to wrap up, say this part of, well, it's not like we got to go into Raw. The Raw. But the whole Roman Reigns Big Show match, and this whole thing with Roman Reigns is, he's finally getting over with the crowd. He's still not wrestling. I don't know if you noticed.
No, it was a spot match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. It was a spot match, and the story was being told more by the Big Show than anything.
And in a match like that too, like, Roman Reigns still has 5 moves. So in a match like that, it's perfect for a 5-move guy.
The punch, the jumping clothesline,
the running, jumping kick on the apron.
But not even, I'm talking about like in the ring. And I remember listening to the PW Torch, and there's one caller called in. He's like, dude, like, we don't get a headlock from him. We don't get a hip toss. We don't get a suplex. We don't get nothing out of him. Nothing at all. All you get is...
And I think that's why a lot of people are really, like, not taking to him. He's starting to grow on me.
Why? Because he's taking an ass whooping?
Because they're booking him they're not shoving him down our throats anymore.
But that
they're
shouldn't be a means
taking
to like him all of a
with
sudden.
him.
I don't like him all of a sudden. I mean,
I didn't say I'm in love with the guy. I'm just saying he's starting to grow on me. That's all I'm saying.
Like
I don't know if he's
Vine?
ever going to get... I don't know if he's ever going to get to the point where he's like my favorite wrestler ever, because that'll never happen. I guarantee it. But I think he's going to end up being a guy that I can tolerate, at least.
When he throws a headlock on somebody, you're going to hear a huge pop out of my ass. That's it. Like, just a headlock.
Well, you're going to have to sit up for that.
I know, right? But, like, I'm a pop, dude. I'm going to pop. Because I'm like, finally,
That is true, because if you watch him wrestling, like, even when he started, he's got no basics.
Nothing. No suplex. Not even a headlock, man.
Yeah, he's there's no substance to him at all. He's just 5-move guy.
Does he even lock up?
I don't know.
I think he just comes out swinging.
Yeah.
He doesn't even lock up.
I think what usually happens, though, is I think whoever his opponent is usually takes over on offense, like, right away, in order to allow him enough time to line up his first move of the 5 moves.
But it's just
because that's literally all he is.
But it's that flying. It's a punch. It's that flying clothesline. That's all he does. And
he's got a running kick out on the floor.
And Spotty Slam. I'm talking about in the ring, but as he's.
I'm talking about all over.
Yeah. But like, when it came to The Rock, just like him and Stone Cold. I mean, they had moments of technical ability. You'll get a headlock, and you'll get a suplex, and you'll get something off the rope. You'll get something.
Yep.
And I, as much as I want to be on his side, I think he got a bad beat on the fact that, like, the backlash on him was so good. But, like, the only reason why people are coming around to him is because, you could say that he's taking a back seat and waiting his turn. I mean, he has a title shot again, but he's taking an ass whooping. Him taking that bump where with the 2 tables, I don't commend him for taking that. He should fucking take it. He's going up against the fucking Giant. And that was more, to me, that was more about the Big Show and how good of a wrestler he is and how safe he is in the ring. to be able to pull something like that off.
Yeah.
You put Ryback in that spot, he would have missed one of the tables. You know what I mean? Like,
That's because Ryback's stupid.
he would have threw Reigns, and he probably would have landed his head on one of the tables, kind of a thing.
Well, he almost killed CM Punk, if you remember that.
Man, I ain't buying that. Don't mention Punk on this fucking podcast, please.
You don't like Punk, do you?
Who is he now? Like, what's going on?
Well, I'm just saying I don't like the guy either, but I just want to kind of, like, not, like, we don't have to delve into it. I just wanted to get, like, your opinion on him. Do you like him or not? Because it sounds like you don't.
I only like people who's around. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like,
sounds good.
He's been away from the company for like a year now, over a year. There's no means for me
January 27th of 2014.
Yeah, there's no means for me to bring him up. Like, for what?
Yeah.
Like, what am I talking about with Punk?
I hate his fans more than I hate him, so. But, yeah.
So yeah, I just go, that's just the thing for me. And I don't think he did himself any justice, the idea of making him look strong. I think that match did Big Show more of a favor than it did Reigns, because Reigns had to grab weapons. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you grabbing weapons? Like, beat his ass.
Well, because, and I've said this before too, and I've heard countless other people say it, that the feud between Roman Reigns and the Big Show has helped the Big Show more than it's helped Reigns, and Big Show doesn't need the help. Reigns needs all the help he can get, and these matches that they've had like 20 so far within the year, and actually I think the one on Sunday was the 21st.
Not including tags?
And,
Not including tag matches?
No, just singles matches. And so that was match 21. We're only in April. Well, actually, we're in May now because it's May 1st. But we're a quarter of the way done with a year, and they've wrestled 20 times.
Amazing. But
yeah. And every time that they wrestle each other, it doesn't help Reigns at all.
Yeah. Big Show comes out looking. I don't think it's a matter of it not helping Reigns, but it's a matter of it actually makes Big Show look good. The beat down, the fact that
Big Show at this point in his career should not look this good.
He shouldn't. I mean, well, nevertheless, I'm a fan of the Big Show because I think he's very well rounded. He knows how to tell a story. I mean, he's a professional to me. He knows how to be a babyface. He knows how to be a heel. He knows how to wrestle safely. He's deceptively athletic, and he's able to make you believe that he's about to hurt someone. And at the same time, he knows how. I mean, that chokeslam on those two tables was just like, to me, the epitome of what the Big Show has to offer in terms of a valuable worker in the ring. You know, to be able to land that, it's like not anyone can do that, especially lifting a guy up that big. Because Roman is not a small dude. He lifted him up and he placed him down. It was brilliant. It was just brilliant.
Yeah.
But moving on to is there anything in between that? The Cena, I ain't even talk about Cena Rusev. Who cares? Because that's just
that match was weird.
That's done to me. And then
they're having another match.
I know. I quit. I was like, no, I quit this fucking feud.
Well, an I quit match is John Cena's forte, so he's winning that match.
Well, anyway, the steel cage match to me was the worst steel cage match I've ever seen in my fucking life.
It was garbage.
It was a match inside of a cage. It was a match inside of a cage. And it was all about
it's kind of like, it kind of reminded me of, you remember the Hell in a Cell match from WrestleMania 28? It was, I mean, I'm not saying the WrestleMania 28 Hell in a Cell match between The Undertaker and Triple H wasn't good, because it was awesome, but they didn't use the cage at all.
I think that's just how it is. I think they need to just get rid of it altogether, because it never really, for what it is, it doesn't really accomplish what it's really meant for it to do. It's supposed to, like back in the day when it was like a steel cage match. We got Sting versus Ric Flair, steel cage match. What? Oh shit! Yeah, it's going.
And it's supposed to keep the guys out of the ring.
No, but in terms of a feud and the story to be told, because the idea is that like it's going down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like this is.
Well, if you remember last year at Extreme Rules, that steel cage match didn't go over well either. So they've had 2 matches back-to-back years that have been steel cage matches, and they both sucked.
Yeah, or even the Hell in a Cell against Rollins and Ambrose, and they tried. It was forced, and then
I thought that match was really good, but my only problem was that they basically went everywhere they could have except for stay in the cell.
I know, and I thought that was them forcing it. They were forcing it, and I was like, I never took that as a legitimate match to me. I thought it was just like it was kind of like them marking out for themselves of a match. They could have done that match in an empty arena, and they would have did the same exact thing, just because just look at it for what it is. And those guys being wrestling fans themselves, like, well, how can we make this as good as, or people talking about it as much as The Undertaker versus Mankind? And like, you know what? Have you spoke of that fucking Hell in a Cell match since we've been talking about it now?
You mean the Dean Ambrose Seth Rollins one?
Yes.
No, I have not.
Exactly.
It's the first time I've thought about it since it actually happened.
All that,
and like I
nothing.
remember watching that match and really enjoying it, but just because I enjoy a match doesn't mean that I'm going to necessarily go back and watch it on the network.
Exactly. So yeah, and it was about Kane, and that's what's happening with the WWE right now. It's like it's all about Kane, and I like the storyline of him kind of coming to grips with himself as like it's this line between, say, him wanting to redeem himself as a monster because of the whole WrestleMania jab that he took from both Triple H and from Seth Rollins.
See, and I don't like this at all.
But like, it's talking to Jake. He's like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a feud with him and Reigns and Rollins. I go, no, this is actually gonna turn into a feud between him and Triple H.
Yeah, that's the way I saw it too.
Yeah. Jake.
There's no way it's gonna be like. I like Jake, like I have no problem with him, but there's no way that they're gonna do Kane and Seth Rollins, because what would it do for Seth Rollins?
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing
at all.
It would help out Kane for like getting like, if this feud does happen, then Kane would kind of be in line with the Big Show, is where like, because if you notice every year, the Big Show gets at least one title shot.
Yeah.
And Kane, like they could do that with Kane too, where he gets one title shot too, because like. Kane to me is like the Big Show, where he doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
For some reason, he always matters.
He's still a good performer,
WrestleMania.
but I just don't. I have a problem. I have a hard time caring about anything he does these days.
But I'm a Kane fan. I think he's really good, and I see him as just like the Big Show. He's a very professional.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I didn't say that I wasn't a fan of Kane. I'm just saying I'm not a fan of him being in such a prominent role in 2015.
And like, and the idea is that like it's the eternal struggle of the job that Kane has versus, and him going basically rogue on a guy who's doing any and everything to cater to him, and the guy which is Triple H to keep him around. That moment when he lost to John Cena in the US belt challenge. And he walks backstage and he sees Triple H, and Triple H kind of gives him a look like "I told you so." Like, to me, that solidified it to where it's like that's going to be the direction that goes in. And just seeing those two in the ring is going to be like a straight old school type of fight, just like the last time that Kane and Chris Jericho fought. And people shot on them. I was like, no, this is the fucking San Antonio Spurs going on right here. This is just the big fundamentals of how to tell a story. Yeah, it's not fast, it's not over the top, and maybe these guys you would like to think are too old, but like, this is wrestling at its purest form. And I feel like that's going to happen when that comes together. And, you know, people who appreciate wrestling and get over the whole like youth movement thing will sit back and be like, wow, that was actually really, really good. Say versus.
That's a problem I have too.
Say versus.
Because people.
You know, Goldust and Stardust. To me, that was a good match because it was very fundamentally based.
Wait, which one?
The Stardust Goldust match at Extreme Rules.
You mean Fastlane?
At Fastlane.
That match sucked.
See, I didn't think it sucked. It was,
I know you're a huge fan of Goldust.
No, but that has nothing to do with it. It could have been anybody. I just saw it. Like, you take a guy with a lot of good talent in Cody Rhodes, and then you got a guy who comes back older and is just as good as he was when he was fucking, you know. And
the match was good. I mean, for what it was, but it had like one of the most awkward endings I've ever seen to a match. And I remember watching it and thinking, were they supposed to go like another 5 minutes? And did the referee tell one of them that they had to cut it short, or what?
No, I think it was. I think the storyline and what I picked up on was, I think the story that Dusty's involvement is that he didn't want Goldust to hurt Cody, and this was planned by him.
But that would have made more sense had they continued it at WrestleMania.
Exactly, but they didn't, because after the match they shot.
This match sucked.
Because they shot Dusty in the back, and he looked like a sense of accomplishment to what he had planned. And maybe he got into the ref's ears like, whatever you do, just make sure my boy don't get hurt. So any opportunity you get to make the pinfall, do it. You know, kind of a thing. They just couldn't get into it. I was looking forward to it, but they didn't go into it. So let's start. That wraps up. The only thing I want to say is, this will wrap it up, and I'll let you say something. The whole Randy Orton thing is fizzling out because we've seen he's like, what more does, other than the belt, what more can we get out of a feud between Randy Orton and Seth Rollins? Because I feel like the big payoff was that one 15-minute beatdown he gave him.
I'm not sure.
He keeps RKOing him. It's like, okay, you got your revenge. You whooped his ass, and you got to win at WrestleMania. Like, what more? How much further can you stretch this?
I don't think there's going to be any more stretching, because once you have a cage match with somebody, there's nothing you can do after that.
And I feel like he's going to move on to Bray Wyatt.
Who's going to move on to Bray Wyatt?
Randy Orton.
No, that's not going to happen. Bray Wyatt is tied up with Ryback.
No, right? I think that's just a stepping stone. I think that's
maybe for SummerSlam, but that's 4 months, or that's 3 months away.
I think Ryback is just a stepping stone.
I don't think that's the case at all.
I think, I don't know.
Because otherwise, that reveal of Ryback would have been a lot better, but it wasn't. It was terrible.
I see a Ryback Bray Wyatt feud going into what is it? This is Payback, and then after he beats Ryback, he's going to interfere in the triple threat. I mean, I was waiting for him to interfere in the cage match, which never happens. But I see it more happening in the triple threat at Payback, and then that will set off the feud between Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt going into SummerSlam, and it will be fresh. I think it would be so awesome. Be something to because they're gonna run with Randy Orton as a face for a while again. And they
seem like they don't know what to do with him ever, as far as his disposition, as far as if he's a heel or a face.
Well, they got too happy on his ass. They got too happy with his shit, because it's like, for him to beat up Seth Rollins as much as he did before the match at WrestleMania, it's just like, why are you blowing your load right now? He comes off his injury. He wants to kick his ass. He doesn't want to beat him. Beating him, pinning him isn't a fucking revenge. Kicking his ass is revenge. And he did it several times before he beat him at WrestleMania, and then in the fucking steel cage match that stunk. Either way. So that'll wrap up, because we need to close this out. Speak on did you want to? Was there something else you wanted to talk about? You wanted to go into?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I could talk about Ring of Honor briefly.
Yeah, do that.
But so I was at Ring of Honor this last Saturday. There was a couple matches that stood out to me. Bobby Fish took on Arya Daivari. I don't know if you know who Sean Daivari is.
No, I know Bobby Fish, though.
Okay, well, Sean Daivari used to be in WWE. He's now doing stuff for Lucha Underground. Arya Daivari is his brother. He's a local guy that I've actually refereed matches for in the past. They wrestled. They had a pretty decent match. The other matches that were really good it was a tag match between the Briscoe brothers, Jay and Mark Briscoe. Jay is the current world champion, taking on War Machine, which is Hanson and Raymond Rowe. Mm-hmm. That match was really, really good. What's that?
I love Hanson.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He's like the version
Rowe
of
is
Eric,
really good too.
He's like the version of Eric Rowan that I wish was in WWE.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And then the main event was Kyle O'Reilly versus Jay Lethal for the TV championship.
I want to see that so bad.
From what I know, this show was a TV taping, so I don't know what's going to be put on TV, but they went 30 minutes, and it was a time limit draw. The match was absolutely amazing, and I think they've got a pay-per-view in June. Best in the World 2015. They're going to lead up. This is leading up to Kyle O'Reilly and Jay Lethal at that pay-per-view for the title with no time limit.
And this for a television title. I mean, it seems like the television title, the way you describe it, seems like a bigger deal than the ROH World Heavyweight Championship.
Yes and no. They tend to do what ECW did, the original ECW, where they value the TV title and the world title the same. Yeah, and Jay Lethal has claimed that he's the best wrestler on TV and in the world, and he put a sticker on the title now, so it doesn't say it's the television championship. It says it's the world championship.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And he makes people call him the world champion.
That's awesome.
And if he doesn't, he freaks out.
That is awesome.
And I remember when this guy was a face way back when, I said there's no way this guy could be a heel. He is an excellent heel. And he's the best thing in Ring of Honor.
And his manager is
Truth Martini.
Yeah, Truth Martini.
I met him in Vegas. He's an awesome guy.
And he's awesome on commentary.
Yes.
He's one of the best.
He wrestled ODB at this show. That match was entertaining as hell.
Dude, I would listen to a Truth Martini, play-by-play or color commentating to the world ends. It's the best. It's really the best. It's like a mixture. It's like a mixture between, say, what's that guy from? He was riding not riding his coattail, but he was working with Zack Ryder. He's the
Kurt Hawkins.
No. Announcer. That'll do it. That guy. He was the play-by-play for Superstars. He has the real thing.
Rich Brennan?
No.
Byron Saxton.
No. He's been there for a while. This guy.
Tom Phillips.
No.
You're
Older.
not thinking Michael Cole, are you?
No. The other guy. He's and he when Zack Ryder was doing the whole social media thing, they would always date back. He was part of it. And his whole...
I don't know, because you're talking Zack Ryder, and you're talking someone I don't care about.
Well, this guy, he was the voice. He was the voice of Superstars, and his whole thing was whenever someone went for a pinfall, he'd be like, "And that'll do it." Always, it didn't matter. Anyway, he reminds me of him a little bit, but with a real sinisterness about him. That just I'm that is a real heel color. That's color commentary right there. But
another couple quick matches I just want to mention. Adam Page took on ACH. That match was really good. Adam Page was a guy that I wasn't really a fan of when he first started. He had one good match with Silas Young,
Oh, Silas
And
Young.
on TV, they destroyed each other. And then he turned heel and joined the Decade as their young boy.
Yeah.
And now he's like a full-fledged member. And Steve Corino's son, Colby Corino, is the new young boy. But Adam Page as a heel is really good. And then ACH, I'm biased when I say this because I've interviewed him, and he's an Eyes on the Ring favorite. So he's really good, too. And this match was very good. Then there was a dark match with Eric Cannon, who is a local here and has also done stuff in Shikara. And then the last match I want to mention is Silas Young versus Roderick Strong.
Oh, Silas Young made it to the main event?
No, this wasn't the main event. This was match 6 out of 8. The main event was for the TV title. The match between O'Reilly and Lethal.
Okay.
This might be the main event of like a TV episode because I'm not sure how much of this they're going to fit on TV. If this was a full taping or just like a partial taping.
Yeah.
So we'll have to find out. But Silas Young took on Roderick Strong, and the match was really good. Silas Young is a guy who should be making millions of dollars.
Yep.
Because he's awesome.
He's a man's man.
He's one of those guys, and he's kind of like Bobby Fish too. Bobby Fish is a guy. They kind of remind me of Jake the Snake Roberts in a way that when they come out to the ring, their match starts when they come out of the curtain. As soon as you see them, you know what their intentions are.
And also, you know what I like about Silas? Is that like he comes off as this real tough guy, like like a man, tough guy dude.
Yeah, he's a man's man.
At the end of the bar, but like his moveset is kind of zany.
Yeah.
Like that's perfect. It's perfect. It's so perfect.
Yeah.
Especially that move where he sort of like does a double bounce off the ropes and he sort of flips his legs off the ropes and bounces onto the person. What is that move called? You know what I'm talking about?
I think it's like a moonsault, almost like a moonsault elbow drop.
Yeah, that thing. It's like
he gets on the turnbuckle, springs out, jumps onto the actual rope part.
Yes.
And then springs back and then hits like a moonsault elbow drop. It's
like one of the girliest things ever.
But it's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. Like those little tangibles. It's the little tangibles that get you over that the New Day are doing right now. Say with what Big Show is doing right now. It makes me go, yeah, you know what you're doing, man. Like you know what you're doing. The only thing is he's just too throwback. He's too throwback. He's way too throwback, and that's his only downfall. And I'm like, no, you could actually use him. WWE, like if he was in NXT, man, they would. But I would be one of those dudes. I would be like, yeah, I would be that guy rooting for the heel, and I don't want to be the guy rooting for the heel ever. I want to root for people I like.
Like if it's a heel or a face, I'll root for whoever I like.
I know, but I always feel guilty rooting for the heel. Always.
Michael Elgin, I booed the crap out of, and I'm glad he's a heel because I was able to.
Because he fucking stinks. But I root for the New Day because, I mean, again, I'm African American. I want to see the treatment of African Americans in the WWE hasn't been always great. And,
that makes sense to me. And because I agree.
And I think that's why Booker T is sort of he's favoring them even at commentary. When he won the belt and he was at Extreme Rule and they shot to him and
yeah. I hope they do the Freebird rule, but I doubt they're going to let them do that.
Oh yeah. They're all.
I want that to happen so bad, but they're not going to let them do that.
But I want somehow. I right now I'm appreciating Booker T at commentary, like clapping and like, yeah, that's all right. Like they're like, what do you mean that's all right? They're assholes. No, that's cool. That's cool. I like that. Naomi, yeah, I like this dude, Naomi. I just hope at some point, and it doesn't have to be a Nation of Domination thing. Like, and I hate that so much. But it's to make a faction out of those 5 would be awesome. It really would be, and just do it the right way. Don't make it a nation thing. Just make it, hey, a bunch of white people become a faction and no one's looking into that. Why they all gotta look at us as a nation? Fuck the nation. We're this. You know? So
Yeah.
you want to play on stereotypes that like seriously, hand it to them. Because the only way that someone's gonna stop making those kind of relations is you call them out on them. Call them out. It's like, nah, it ain't like that. It ain't like that at all. We relate and we're working together to move ahead. If you don't like us, that's on you. But we're gonna get to the top whether you like it or not. We have no agendas other than to get to the top, and that's all it needs to be. Just like everyone fucking else. Oh well. Let's go ahead and wrap. Do you have anything else? Did you want to mention?
No, that was pretty much all I had to say. These episodes will, I think, like I said, I think they're going to be aired on TV. There was 10 matches total, two dark matches, 8 matches on the actual show. My guess is they'll put like maybe 3 matches or do like 3, 3, and 2 so they can get all this stuff done in 3 tapings.
Yeah.
And I review the TV show, but since I already reviewed this show as a whole, I'm not going, like, I probably won't go back and actually review the TV show via Eyes on the Ring. So
no, it's fine.
It depends what they give us coming up in the next few weeks.
Okay, and speaking of which, go ahead and drop your plugs, dude.
Okay, you can follow me on Twitter at Headliner5. That is the number 5. Follow Eyes on the Ring at Eyes on the Ring. Follow the home of at Eyes on the Ring, which is the Elite Podcast Network at Elite Podcast Net. Check out the articles on eyesonthering.com. There's a new Was It Really That Bad series from Speed on the Beat. He does a series called Was It Really That Bad? His latest entry into that is chronicling the XFL and examining that whole debacle. You can go and read my full review of the Conquest Tour, which was this last Saturday, on eyesonthering.com as well. There's a bunch of other stuff that's on there. We've got like 5 or 6 writers that write stuff for us. If you want a t-shirt, you can go to darts.spreadshirt.com. blogtalkradio.com/Elite Podcast Network is where you can find everything from the Elite Podcast Network, Eyes on the Ring, Wrestling Heads, Uncle Mike and Tom Show, Weekly Wrestling Podcast, Indie Power Rankings, Greed Stole the Spots, Beyond the 3 Count. There's a bunch of them. And then Stitcher, if you have that on your iPhone, you can search Elite Podcast Network and pull up our feed and hit subscribe. And then lastly, Facebook.com/Eyes on the Ring. Go and like us and tell us what you think about our shows. So that's pretty much all I have. And I know that's a lot, but...
And the day part of the New Day podcast, be sure to go and check out my Extreme Rules live reactions. Also, check out... are you snoring?
No.
Oh. I thought I heard snore. I'm like, fuck you. Check out Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling review of Extreme Rules and Raw Green Bay. Check out Faster Than the World podcast. That's the Amazing Fritz and Jake where they review NXT. Also, check out last week's interview with John Hitchcock. Have you listened to that yet?
No, I haven't, but I'm going to.
It's fun. Jake has an interview with John Hitchcock, who has this book called Front Row Section D, and it's basically stories of the glory days of Mid-Atlantic, and he was right there at the beginning of it. He's big. He goes back to wrestling to the 60s. I'm trying to think there's anything else. Thanks for listening to this. Tomorrow there will be I'm not sure what interview is going to be up tomorrow, but listen to it any fucking way. It's Jake and someone else. And then Sunday is Peter Talks SmackDown. You can follow me, Ellen Japanese, LINJAPANESE. You can also follow the Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling Twitter, which is PJTW Central. But also Ellen Japanese you can follow on Snapchat and you can also in Instagram. And yes, we're also on Stitcher. Type in Peter and Jake Talks Wrestling, and you will get a whole host of shows that we have as well. And for both of us, what's happening over at Elite and what's happening here at PJTW Central, always like, always share, always comment, give us a thumbs up, heart, share, do all of that stuff. Comment, just because interaction is key. And also, the more you do all of those things, the more it tells the vehicles that we go through, whether it's SoundCloud or Stitcher or YouTube, that we're somebody that's of value, right? Nate, you just yawned?
Yep.
You just yawned?
Yeah, I did.
Jesus Christ.
I'm tired. Leave me alone.
This is like the first and worst one we've ever done.
No, it's not.
So thank you for listening.
I thought it was pretty good. All those other ones were practice.
Practice.
My part's good anyway.
And you're watching hockey, aren't you?
No.
Oh, you don't watch sports
I'd rather watch paint dry.
You don't watch sports at all?
No, I do. I'm strictly basketball, baseball, football, and everything else I don't care about.
So the Minnesota Queens aren't in it. Who you rooting for?
The what?
Minnesota Queens? Sacramento
We
Queens.
don't have it.
That's the Sacramento. It's the Timberwolves.
Yeah, the Timberwolves.
Yeah, Minnesota.
It's the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, okay.
The Minnesota Timberwolves. They suck.
Well, you got Garnett back. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but he's not going to do nothing.
Yeah, it's gonna. And as long as y'all
He's
got that,
he's old and washed up.
but he's
not
still
gonna do
good.
nothing.
He's still great. But as long as y'all guys have that dude as an owner, that guy's no good at all. That's what.
Which one?
He's like an Indian guy.
Yeah.
And he
that's
drafted
true.
that dude from Michigan. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and he sucks.
Yeah, he's horrible. And he was talking about adopting. He saw like the like, what do they call it? It's like when one player stays back. He like saw that being ran with his daughter's team, and he wanted to do that with the Timberwolves. Like, it's just madness. You know, who is it? Chris Mullins got the fuck out of there. He got the fuck out of there.
That's because he's smart.
Yeah, because he's like St. John's. You know, he's like, yeah, fuck this. This is ridiculous. I'm going to St. John. But anyway, there's a lot of shit going on. You know, you got the Kentucky Derby. I'm excited about that. You got the Game 7 between the Clippers and the Spurs. And then you also have, what the fuck? Damn, are you tired?
Yeah, I am.
You got the fight. Yeah, there's a lot going
Which
on.
I'm not. You're talking about boxing?
Yeah. You got the boxing. You got Mayweather versus Pacquiao, and then you also have the third round to the NFL draft. So, you know, a whole bunch of stuff going on this weekend, folks. Enjoy not only this podcast, Nathan's podcast, the podcast I do on this end.
It's not really mine. I'm just the co-host.
I'm just saying you're cog in the wheel. You know what I'm saying? Like the wind
Yeah.
the clock doesn't tick if you're not one of the gears in the motor. So
Fair enough.
So yeah, again, the New Day podcast. Feel the power. It's a new day. Yes, it is. And on behalf of Nate, we wish you a good, healthy weekend. Peace.
Peace.